Dirty Briefs with Alex Hooper. Hey everybody, yep, it's me, Alex Hooper, back and ready to attack all of the things that we are thinking about. Now today, I want to talk about one of my favorite TV shows, and it is called Old Enough. Now, it could be about male comedians and their girlfriends because, as we all know, there was a lot of Me Tooing going on in the comedy world for the past couple of years. And it just seems like people were dating younger and younger to the point when it eventually got gross. Or has it always been gross and finally people are just being called out? What is old enough? Well, first, let me talk about this TV show, because if you're not watching Old Enough on Netflix, you are doing yourself a complete disservice. Old Enough is a Japanese show that has been around for over 30 years where they send a young toddler on their first errand. And if you've never seen a 3-year-old have to walk to the store to buy noodles and a flour, and all the adventures that come with that, you are missing out. This is the most wholesome TV show I have ever seen. In a world where we are filled with true crime and serial killers and all of these terrible scams and documentaries like that, Old Enough is just pure happiness served up on a giant plate. My wife describes it very well. She says it's like taking a bump of ketamine where it's really good for 15 minutes. You feel amazing. And then it wears off and you can decide if you want another one. Because just like this show, Old Enough is bite-sized. The episodes are like 11 minutes long. And it's just so cute watching these little Japanese kids like run around the streets going on their errands. And this show, it would never work in America. It would never, ever work because these parents, they send a 4-year-old out into the world and they just say, hey, make sure you say hello to everybody. Ask questions to a stranger if you don't know where the product is or if you're not sure where to go or help crossing a street. Can you imagine in this America, you have a 4-year-old child and you just send them out of your house on an errand and just say, hey, make sure you talk to everyone you see. Make sure you say hello. Make sure that you just trust strangers. Never. You would be arrested for child abuse. Social services would be at your house so fucking fast and you would be carted off to jail, and then your kid's gonna end up in a foster home just because you needed him to go get you a jar of cranberry sauce from your local market. But not in Japan. Japan, their culture is just so different from ours. Respect is the number one thing. I took a Japanese studies class in college, and they taught us about own, O-N, own. Own means respect, and there is no higher quality in Japan that you want than respect. And that means that you know, if a wallet was dropped on the street, you don't take out the money and just throw it into a lake. You return the wallet because that's what you would want done here. So if a Japanese mother sends her 5-year-old little girl out to her grandmother's house to go drop off a bottle of juice, you know she's going to be safe. Not here. Not here. That show would never work in America. I think a lot about, like, are we old enough? Old enough. Remember how your parents would say you're old enough to know better? Are we? At 7 years old, if I want to take off my clothes and roll through a flower bed before I go to church, maybe I'm not old enough to know better. Maybe I don't know anything. Maybe I want to be a kid forever. I mean, look at me. I am dressed right now in a tie-dye shirt, and I even have pants that have like tie-dye pollock splotches all over them. So I'm a little kid at heart. I don't never wanted to grow up. And now that I am grown up, 37 years old. Is that a grown up? I don't think so. I think not till like I'm 45. But I kind of like, I would never want to be a kid again because my childhood was difficult. But I would like to live in a world where my parents could send me on an errand and I could just make friends with a bus driver and go across town at 4 fucking years old. Amazing. That's the difference in our cultures. Our kids are picking up guns and shooting people, and theirs are learning how to plant gardens from their local teachers. I don't know, wherever they're learning how to plant gardens. But this is why Japan does it so right. Japan, you're really kicking ass. Please make more episodes of Old Enough, or at least put them on Netflix, because I need them in my life. We're not old enough to do a lot of things in America when we're children. We have all these laws that say what we're allowed to do. These milestones that we want to hit. Like, remember when you're 14 and you're watching all these 16-year-olds drive and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to drive. I personally didn't feel that way. I liked being driven around because I was an asshole kid. So I would always make my friends pick me up that actually got their learner's permits and licenses. I didn't get mine till I was almost 18 years old and my parents finally made me. But why do we say a 16-year-old is allowed to drive a car? Basically, a car is one of the deadliest weapons. You're talking about 5,000 pounds of metal that can go over 100 miles per hour. And we've learned many times it is a deadly weapon. Yet still, when you're 16, you can just go drive a car anytime you want. There's farmers that put their kids on tractors when they're 12. They might cut their whole leg off inside the spinny, cutty things, that pick up the corn and all that, but doesn't matter. They're allowed to do it anyway. Yet, you need to be 18 to gamble. I tell you what I think the legal gambling age should be. I think it should be 9. I think you should be allowed to lose all your money as soon as you as soon as you're 9 years old, and then you can learn lessons the hard way. Part of my childhood toys that was huge were Pogs. If you remember Pogs, they were just these little tiny paper discs and they came with a slammer and you would stack them up and you would compete against your friends and try to flip them with the slammer. Like basically playing, flipping a coin. But whatever landed up, the other person got to keep. I was being taught to gamble when I was 9 years old. And I'm not a gambler today because I hate losing money. When I go to Vegas, I'm a penny slot kid. I just get fucked up. I sit at a penny slot and I go and I go and just watch the rainbow colors swirl around my eyes, and I play 1 penny at a time. I get free drinks, I get to watch this amazing show, and on top of that, I'm not losing any money whatsoever. Speaking of drinking, 21, I think you shouldn't be able to drink until you're 75. I think we should raise the legal drinking age to 75 because nobody should be drinking. Drinking is the worst drug. I mean, maybe heroin is, or meth, or PCP. But drinking is pretty bad because drinking is acceptable. Therefore, people fall into even more problems when they do it. I have not had a drink in months, basically because I've been on antibiotics, because I had cancer, because I ended up in the hospital. But I don't miss drinking at all because drinking makes me feel like shit. I always get sloppy. I never get the result that I want. And I don't know, maybe I used to get drunk and have a great time, but now I just get drunk and wonder why I'm not more fucked up than I was. And I can drink, dude. I can put them back. My tolerance is high. But I think if we raise the drinking age to 75, we would solve so many problems. Car accidents would go down. Alcohol deaths from cirrhosis of the liver would fall way back. Parents would stop beating their kids as much, maybe still a little bit. What's another age milestone? Well, I kind of mentioned at the beginning, sex. How older should you be when you have sex? Are you old enough? I know a lot of people that had sex at 12, 13. I didn't have sex until I was 19, and I still don't think I was old enough because I had no idea what I was doing. I should have been put in a class taught by a woman that said exactly what to do because all I knew is what I had learned from Cinemax softcore porn and a bunch of things on the internet. And I was trying to shove this girl up against a wall and do it standing up. No. That means I wasn't old enough to be having sex. Even at 19, I was not old enough to be doing it. So, I shouldn't have been. But I did, and I learned. I got better. I am now just about old enough to have sex. Just about. When I was researching old enough, I found this song called Are You Old Enough? And it's by this band Dragon, who's from Australia. It was released in 1978. And it's essentially a song that takes place with the lead singer already in jail for having sex with a minor. And he just keeps singing, Are you old enough? Are you old enough? No, she was not old enough, or he was not old enough. And that's why you are in prison, locked up in a cell, because this person wasn't old enough. So listen, you don't have to act your age. You can be a kid forever. I'm a little kid forever. I'm responsible. I pay my bills. I do the things that I'm supposed to do, but I still act like a little kid because it's more fun. Be childish whenever the situation calls for it, or even sometimes when it doesn't. That's okay. You can order a Shirley Temple at a sushi bar. When all of your friends are getting martinis, be bold. Act old enough, and you order that Shirley Temple with extra grenadine. Be bold. Be old enough. Continue to soil yourself, everyone. That's another Dirty Brief.